Most boys think hitting a certain age automatically turns them into men. But the truth is, if you do not change your mindset, your habits, your lifestyle, you will remain a boy stuck in a man's body like I was for so many years. Some of you may believe getting a job, paying your bills, being financially dependent automatically turns you into a man. I definitely thought that when I got my first job. Just imagine being a kid in school and getting 50p a day to spend. To put it in a little bit of context, my friends used to get £5 a day. That would be 10 times more than what I would get. I would have to save up 2 weeks just to buy McDonald's. Now, growing up, we didn't have much, so I was grateful for what I got. So just imagine how I felt when I was 16 and I got my first job. I went from getting 50p a day to earning 450 an hour. I just 9x the amount I would get in a day, I would now be getting in an hour. Since getting my first job, I didn't have to rely on my parents for anything. Therefore, I automatically assumed I stepped into manhood. But I got this so wrong. I thought just by earning money, this gives you the rite of passage to becoming a man. Now you think coming from a family with 4 older brothers and a dad, someone would have taken the time to show me, explain to me, help me become a man. But they didn't. I had to figure things out on my own. And when I did, my life started to change. What took me so many years to understand, I'm going to teach you today. Because I don't want you to make the same mistakes I did. The truth is, with a bit of guidance, but also a little bit of help, you can stop making the mistakes a boy would, but also you can become a better, superior man. So the first thing that turns boys into men is leaving your comfort zone. So when I chose my first university, I purposely chose somewhere that was close, somewhere where I could go during the week, but also come home on the weekends. Picture this: Sunday night, you pack your clothes, you pack your food, your friends come pick you up, you pile into the car, you drive to university, you spend a whole week chilling, you pile back in the car on Friday, drive back, chill at home for the weekend, and do it again on Sunday. This at the time felt so normal because everyone else was doing the same thing. At the time, I didn't realize being in that comfort zone of the same friends, coming back to the same town, not really exploring and going out was stopping me from becoming a man. Now, if I could go back in time, I probably wouldn't go university, but that's a separate video. But I definitely would have gone to a different town to explore what the world has to offer. So if you're planning to go university or you have a job, if you have the opportunity to go to a new place, a new city, take it. This will help you to become a man a lot quicker. Now, if you have the opportunity to go to a different country, you should definitely take it. This is one thing I wish I did a lot sooner. When you stay in the same place your whole life, you become comfortable. There's no need to grow, but also change. You have your routines, you know the people, you know the street. Nothing is forcing you to grow up and become a man. But when you change your environment, it causes you to adapt, it causes you to change, but most importantly, it causes you to step up and become a man. Therefore, whenever you get the opportunity, take that time to change your environment. The second thing that turns boys into men is having the ability to do things with their hands. Now, before you all jump in the comments and start saying I turned into a man when I was 10, 11 or 12, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the ability to repair, make, create things. So the house I'm currently living in was torn apart by my brothers. They were supposed to get it back into a better shape for my parents. But when I landed back from Asia, everyone disappeared. They left me this house in an absolute state. Now I had two options: either call in some builders, which would have cost me a fortune, or tackle the job myself. Before this house, all I'd done is put a few cupboards together, maybe hanged a mirror here and there, put up a few shelves. In my head, I thought, if I can make someone stand after a brain injury, how hard can it be to do a little bit of DIY? Now, it was hard, but also lonely. But restoring this house has given me some new skills, but more importantly, it's helped me to become a better man. But I have to thank YouTube. Without YouTube, I probably would have not been able to do a lot of the things. I think YouTube is the new university. So the next time you get caught in that difficult situation, you need something doing, instead of phoning someone, why not try to figure it out yourself? Jump online and see how someone else did it. Then try to do it yourself. If it doesn't work the first time, try again. If it doesn't work the second time, try again. Once you are able to do it, it'll give you a massive boost to your confidence, but you will also be respected by other men. The next thing that turns boys into men is the ability to control your emotions. Have you ever noticed that men who can't control their emotions always seem to have the most problems? The men who throw tantrums, lose control, get angry when people don't agree with them, don't take responsibility with their mistake. The biggest difference between boys and men is the ability to control your emotions. Boys will scream, shout, cry, do whatever it takes to get attention but also get their way. But whereas men will control their emotions because they know by getting over emotional, it will never lead to anything good. If you want to be respected by your friends, your family, even your partner, you need to start controlling your emotions. Letting emotions control your actions makes you look weak, but it also keeps you weak. Therefore, try these steps to help you control your emotions. Give yourself a second to breathe, but also think so you can see things a lot clearer. Pay attention to what triggers your frustration, but also your anger. Start going to the gym so you can release some of that frustration and that tension. Start using logic instead of just jumping in emotionally. Try looking at things logically. Surround yourself with strong, stable men. Men who don't use emotions to make decisions. They use logic but also reason. If you surround yourself with weak, emotional people, you will also react emotionally to every situation. The next point may cause a little bit of discomfort, but it's all about taking responsibility. Boys blame others for their misfortunes, their loss, their mistakes, whereas men take responsibility but also learn from their past experiences. Blaming others is a habit that we do when we're a kid to avoid punishment from our teachers, our parents. Instead of taking responsibility, we just blame the other person, so we avoid punishment. But this habit of blaming others can continue into adulthood without you even realizing it. But every time you point the finger at someone else, blaming other people, not taking responsibility, you're handing over power. You're telling your mind you do not have the power to change your life. I used to blame other people for my failed businesses, or I didn't have the luck, or because my parents weren't business people. That's the reason my business failed. But in reality, it was all my mistakes. Looking back, that kept me poor, it kept me weak, but it also stopped me from progressing. Once you take responsibility for your mistakes, you can also learn from them. So you don't end up making the same mistakes again, but also other people will start to respect that. When people start to respect you, you will stop feeling like a boy, but you will also start to feel like a man. The next thing that turns boys into men is hard decisions. A boy will always choose a quick, easy option, whereas a man may choose the harder option because he knows it will lead to better things in the future. When you make that decision, you want to step into manhood, you will realize most decisions are rarely easy. This means walking away from friends that are holding you back, potentially disappointing your parents, spending long nights alone because no one understands the journey you're going on. You will also have to come to terms with that you might have to miss out on certain things. While your friends are going away on holiday, you might have to stay at home but also save up so you can spend that money on your business. You'll also have to accept some of the choices you make will be wrong. Now, boys will live in the past but also cry about those choices, whereas men will look at those choices, learn from those mistakes, but also move forward with their life. Remember, boys want to enjoy every moment, not miss a thing, get instant gratification, but also avoid hard decisions. But men know they'll have to make some small sacrifices, avoid short-term pleasure for long-term success. Another thing that turns boys into men is planning, but also having routines. Now, when I used to have a boy's mindset, I used to think this was for geeks and losers, but that kept me stuck for so many years. All successful men have routines but also plan their day to help them stay consistent but also help them to focus on what's important. It's so easy to spend a day scrolling on your phone, doing nothing, but also think you're being productive at the same time. Boys will always leave things to chance, hoping they'll get things done, whereas men get routines, they plan their days to ensure they get the most important jobs done throughout the day. The key to having a strong routine is make it as easy as possible, but also move all resistance out of the way. So my morning routine is very simple. Wake up at 6:45, go for a little walk on the treadmill, then jump straight into work. You want to make your routine as simple as possible, but also make sure you do things at the same time. So I wake up at the same time every morning at 6:45 and I go to bed at the same time at 10:30 p.m. every night. This helps me to stay consistent, it helps me to stay focused, but it also stops me being tired throughout the day. If you do not start planning your day but also building a routine, life will slip through your fingers. Remember, boys hope they win, men ensure they win. On the journey to manhood, you will have to work on yourself. So you may want to check the next video out.